Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today is going to be a little different video. Well, not necessarily different. It's just not going to do a makeup video like I did last time. And finally, like I said, getting in the groove of how many times I want to film a week. The other day I was kind of laying in bed thinking of makeup ideas, or YouTube ideas actually, of what to film. And I came up with, well, I thought about the things that I used to search. I'm wearing my glasses today so you can see the glare, which is so annoying. I thought of what I used to look up on YouTube a lot and what I like to see. And that was, well, when I was pregnant, I used to look up, or I used to like to look up pregnancy videos, obviously. But the main thing I used to look up was labor and delivery stories. Stories and not videos, because videos are traumatizing as hell. And for some reason I just found comfort in them. Not everyone's story is the same. They're all different. And even though they're all different and I didn't have something close to anybody's, I still felt secure and confident and calm going into the time of delivering my son. So I'm just going to give you guys a little rundown of what happened and how, like, leading up to delivery and all that good stuff. So yeah, today's video will be a little bit of how my son was born. My son was supposed to be born May 24th, was his original due date. Everything was leading up to that time, except if you have a baby, you know that you have a lot of appointments coming up when the baby is due. I think when you hit a certain amount of weeks, I don't remember exactly, I think it's 36 weeks, you see your doctor once a week. And I had gone for my last appointment because he was due the next week, and he was face down, completely ready, but I wasn't dilated. And my doctor thought that was a little weird. So she just kind of said, okay, well, we'll make your appointment to be induced just in case he doesn't come by next week. And we had the appointment to be induced on June 1st. And I was so upset because I was like, I don't want no June birthstone. Like, I want a May birthstone. They're pretty. Yeah, so I was like, oh, you better come. But obviously, if you have had a baby, you know that you can't force them to come. They come on their own. And so I kind of just came to terms with he might come late. And I kind of just went about my day to when he was actually born. I actually did a lot of errands. Like I said, when I introduced him, I kind of did a quick rundown of when he was born. I had a birthday party for my niece at my house because I had a pool and it was really hot. So me and my sister were kind of getting everything ready. My niece was getting all her summer clothes because she had no summer clothes at the time. So I spent maybe about 3 hours at the mall walking around with them, getting her clothes and shoes. And for somebody who is as far along as I was, it was a lot of freaking walking. A lot of walking. And I just did it. I mean, I was super tired, but my niece wanted me there. You know, obviously I was like their ride. And yeah, I mean, I didn't necessarily mind it at the time. Like I said, I just was tired. So when I would get too tired, I would kind of just be like, okay, I'm going to go sit down. I'd drink lots of water because at the time it was really hot. And everything was fine that day. I did have a few cramps, but my doctor had told me before that if I do too much, like when I would work too long of a shift, I would get cramps. Like, it would just be like my back or, you know, just a quick one. They would go away. And yeah, so I get cramps, but I didn't think much of it. The next day we did a little bit more errands because the following day after that was her party. So I picked them up. They were going to spend the night at my house so that they can get things ready in the morning. Besides me driving over there, getting them getting dropped off early in the morning to do all that. It's too much of a hassle. So we got up early in the morning. We did things we needed to do. We did a little bit more shopping. And that day I was really cranky. I was extra mean. I was just irritable, tired. I was just a mess. And I didn't really think much of it. We went home, you know, chilled the rest of the day. And I noticed that I was just exhausted. And I was so confused because the day before that I had did so much more and I wasn't that exhausted. So whatever, the day ended, midnight came, I had got another cramp. Obviously didn't think much of it. I was like, all right, well, I did too much today. Let me just rest. Fell asleep. And then I got, obviously it was a contraction around 3 a.m., 3:30 a.m., obviously. And I woke up from it, and I was just like rolling in bed, and I kind of was like, what is this? I don't know what this is. And it went away. And I was like, okay, that's weird. I fell back asleep, and I had maybe 2 more, and I was like, maybe I should time these. At first, I thought they're kind of Braxton Hicks, which are like kind of like fake contractions. They just prepare your body, and I thought they were that because they went from like an hour apart to 45 minutes to 20 to 5, and it would like fluctuate from back like all those around that time frame. And I just kind of fought through it. What was weird for me is that I felt like I had to go pee a lot, and every time I would go, I would actually pee, and it wasn't my water breaking. But the thing is too is every time I got a contraction, because they really were, I would drink tons and tons of water because it made me so thirsty. And I did that, and it was about maybe 8:30, no, 7:30, 8 o'clock, and my husband woke up because he had to be at work soon. And he was like, what's wrong? You were rolling around the bed a lot. Like, what's going on? And I had told him, like, I think these are Braxton Hicks, but I'm not. Like, I told him everything. And he was like, okay, well, do I go into work or not? Like, tell me now so I can call in. And at that time, I was like, no, go in. Like, I don't know if these are real or not. So he went in. It was an important day too. He had to get like pictures taken for something. He went in. I woke up. My sister was waking up at the same time. I was telling her like how I'm feeling, and she was kind of like, well, I don't know. Well, we were both I don't know because of how they were so spread apart. And then between that when he left, 2 hours into that, they got closer and closer together and stronger. And I knew like, okay, this is it. I would try to take a warm shower, and I couldn't even stand up. Like, I would lean against the wall, and that wasn't too much. Like, it was too much. I had to get out. I laid in the towel in the bed. I drank lots of water. My sister made me food because obviously when you go into the hospital to deliver a baby, you can't eat. I ate a little bit. I called him, and I was like, all right, you need to come home now. It's time. He drives an Evo, so normally it would take him about 20, 30 minutes max to get to work, to and from work. This took him like 10 minutes. So you know he was speeding. At the point I didn't even care. He came home. It sucks too because we were going to pack the car that weekend, that Sunday, because he was due the next week. Or, a couple days after that. So we were like, okay, well, this weekend we're going to pack the car. We're going to put the car seat in the car. We're going to get everything ready. No. We had to carry all the bags and put our hospital bags in the car, get the car seat, make sure I had everything it needed, and we were off. And I think it was about noon, I was getting checked in, and the nurse had told me, like, oh, you're only 2 centimeters dilated. And by the time I was parking, my contractions were about 5 minutes apart. And 4 or 5 minutes apart, and I told her, like, I'm not going home, I'm in too much pain, even though I'm only 2 centimeters dilated, like, I'm in too much pain. And she kept trying to say, like, oh, well, we don't admit you guys until you're about 4 or 5 centimeters, so basically telling me I'm going home. And I was fighting her. So then she got a doctor, because she was a nurse, and the doctor came in and asked my pain level. And word of advice, if you were in pain and you're the doctors, do not say the real amount. Like, if it's really a 5, if you're at a 5, say it's at like a 8, 9, because they're really not going to treat you as an emergency. They're kind of just going to brush you off. I was really at like a 9, 10. So I was like, oh, I'm not lying to you. I'm a 10. And she was like talking to me about pain and how I was feeling and time frames and all that good stuff. Looked at the monitor for a while. Didn't say much to me. And she was like, okay, well, we're going to admit you because he's not moving. He's not very active as well. He should be active, and he's not. And she was worried. But to me, I wasn't very worried because the entire time I was at home, from 3 a.m. till the time I left to go to the hospital, he would move every time I got a contraction. And he was a big baby, so like he would move in my stomach. Like I could feel him. And I knew he was just either like relaxing or sleeping because he was moving for that time all night. So I wasn't really too worried. They admitted me. I called my sister to let her know. It sucked because I missed my niece's party. But that was the start. And by the time they got me in admitted completely, it was about 2:30, maybe almost 3. No, yeah, maybe 2:30. I did ask for the epidural after they did like the blood test and everything. They gave it to me. I thank God for it. Like, I mean, I did a few hours of contractions and I couldn't do it. So the people who do it natural, like, all power to you. But I could not do it. And I didn't feel much of my entire labor. I was completely numb. I reacted pretty good to the epidural. I know people have stories that didn't work or they have bad side effects. Side note, the only side effect I do have is I get back pains right where they injected it in my back. And obviously my back. And it's kind of like the lower back, and the pain hurts so bad. Like, it hurts so bad. It comes and goes. It's not constant, but that is a normal side effect. It doesn't really go away. So after they got the epidural, I was completely numb, and I was just kind of relaxed. They say to take a nap, but I couldn't take a nap. Like, your baby's coming. Like, I was so excited, I couldn't take a nap. Like, I just couldn't sleep. It sucks because my husband was actually in the middle of a semester at San Jose State, and he was like in final week, and he was like, I hope he comes on his actual due date so that I can finish on my finals. No, he came early. And so he was, as soon as I got the epidural, that's when he was like, okay, you're good. I'm going to go in the, over here in the chair and do like all my final papers that I need to get done and all that good stuff. So he was like emailing his teachers, like, I'm not coming to class this anymore. My son's being born, all that good stuff. He had to go into one class though after the baby was born, like a couple of days after, to do something, but I was fine. Anyway, so the entire time we were waiting for him to be born, he was basically catching up on schoolwork, which was fine. I kind of just laid in my bed. Like I said, I didn't feel anything. Once you get an epidural, you can't walk around because you're numb, and you can't feel your legs. So they had a catheter in me, so I really didn't get up to do anything. I couldn't. So I just watched TV. Around 4:30, I was dilated to 4 centimeters. 4 centimeters, I think. And they said that I was moving along pretty well. The nurses she was very surprised at the fact that I was moving along without being induced. I didn't feel anything, nothing much. 6 o'clock came around. I was dilated to 6 centimeters. And, like I said, every time they came around, they're like, wow, you're dilated at 6 centimeters already. You're moving around pretty quick by yourself. This is pretty crazy. The only issue that would happen, during all of this was that, the baby wouldn't, like I said, he wasn't very active, so I had to get an oxygen mask, and the oxygen would get him moving, or I had to lay on my side because laying on your side would get the baby moving, and that would happen every now and then, and I had to do that at least twice an hour to get him just to move a little bit for the doctors. That was a little scary for me. He moved a lot too, because when you have the baby, they have like the belly bands to hear your heartbeat and the baby's heartbeat, or the movement or whatever, or the contractions. And he would move like suddenly, all like really quick, and they would lose his heartbeat and they would freak out. But I knew he just moved, like I could feel it, like he just moved. And I would tell him like, oh, he's over here on this side, and they would have to like adjust it to him. But yeah, he ever since when I was pregnant, and I would go for like a checkup, and they would do the heartbeat, he would move and kick because he didn't like to be touched. So he was just irritated. They came back around 8, and I was still 6 centimeters dilated, and they didn't like that. They said I should have been moving a little bit further. So they said that by 9:30 or around 10, that if I wasn't dilated by at least, or they came in, they said that I need to be dilated more, and they're going to come check in an hour and break my water if it didn't break yet. They broke my water, and I started to feel contractions, and I thought it was so crazy. So then I asked for more drugs. They gave it to me, didn't work. And then they came in, and they were like, okay, well, you're moving, you're up at, I was at 8 centimeters by like 9 o'clock. So like, okay, well, we'll check on you again. If you aren't moving very much, or if you're still at a standstill, we'll induce you. And I didn't want to be induced at all. I didn't want to be induced. So I was like, oh, I better get moving. Like, this kid better come out. And I kept asking, like, I can feel the contractions. I can feel it. I want something stronger. The guy came in and was like, okay, you already have something in you. Obviously it's not strong enough. I'm gonna give you something so strong that you're numb now, but you won't feel anything at all. And he's like, are you sure you want it? And I was like, yes, I want it. It was about like maybe 9:50, and no, it was about 10. And my husband went in, or he was like ordering food because he hadn't eaten all day, and he went down to go get it because he DoorDash or Uber Eats or something. And the doctor had, before he left, the doctor had told me, okay, well, around 10:30, we will, around 10:15, 10 o'clock, we'll come in and see where you're at and if you're ready to push. By the time he went downstairs, back up, and they came at the same time he came in, they looked at me and like, okay, you're ready to push now. So then he came in. I was like, okay, it's happening. He put his burrito down, and they got everybody in, like everything all set. That was scary for me because they just moved fast. And the nurse told me like, it's fine, you know, everything's okay. You just dilated quick. Like it just happened so quick. So obviously, you know, you push, and I did a few pushes, but when they noticed that I would get a really strong contraction, they noticed his heart rate dropping like dramatically, like crazy in amount. And I couldn't see the screen because there were so many nurses, but my husband could, and he was freaking out because obviously, you know, see the heartbeat, like, is he gonna make it? So they were watching his heartbeat and seeing how much I can do it and how much I can push until it's too much. So I pushed maybe about 3 times, 3 sets of 3. So you push 3 times, and I pushed 9, basically. Pushed 9 times. And at that time, they had told me, okay, well, if he doesn't come out soon, we're going to have to suction him, or worse, a C-section. So I didn't want any of that because they suction, like they pull their head, and I just didn't want any of the risks. Like there's risks that they don't tell you about. So I pushed and I pushed, and the last push, they said that if he doesn't come out, they will suction him. Popped right out, and I was like, oh, thank God. It was like it didn't hurt. It was pressure, but when he popped out, it honestly felt good. Like, it was like a relaxing sensation. It was just so much. It felt so good. When he was born, I just literally threw my head back. At this time, though, my husband kind of maneuvered back to the chairs and kind of put his hand in his head. His head in his hands, and he was freaking out because of the heartbeat, and the doctors thought it was too much blood. I honestly, it sounds shitty, but I wasn't really focusing on him. I was just focusing on pushing out the baby and everything that, like that. So I didn't really notice that he had gone over there. But what the doctor told me, and he had told me too after, the baby, he had actually had the umbilical cord wrapped around his neck twice. The good thing is that the cord was super long, that it wasn't like super tight against his neck. It was loose where it was like kind of right here, which is probably why his heart rate would go down, because he was getting frustrated and couldn't move. Till this day, he's being restricted. Like, he never was swaddled. So that could have been why he was struggling so much. So that was the only worry. He had no other complications, no other signs. Altogether, from when my contraction started at home till he popped out, was 22 hours. Which I honestly am so glad, because I hear people going, my sister went for like 2 days, 2 or 3 days, and I'm having a C-section. A lot of people that I know lost a couple days in labor. I honestly say that I was blessed to have such a fast labor. There was a little scares and, you know, semi-complications, but to be honest, those don't even seem that serious to me. He was fine. It is scary. Childbirth is so scary. But, I mean, when he came out, it was all totally worth it. Like, the fear and the pain is all worth it. Like, I would do it all over again. So, yeah, that is the story of how he was born. He was healthy, 8 pounds, 21 inches. Healthy big boy. Super calm since he's a baby. He never really cries. But, he definitely scared his dad a lot. To this day, he's like, oh, it scared me so much. Thank God I didn't record it. I personally think that's so, not weird, but it's like, I understand it's something you want to remember, but I remember it in my head like it was yesterday. Like, when I think about it, it's like I'm watching it. So to me, it's not that big of a deal. I don't think when he's older, he wants to see his mother pushing out him, because he's a big baby. He did rip me a lot. So, yeah, that's my labor and delivery story. And hopefully some pregnant lady out there is looking for some, you know, just to be relaxed and like, damn, you know, things can happen when you're delivering, but everything will be okay in the end. Hopefully this makes you feel better like the videos did when I was pregnant. Until then, I will see you guys next time. Don't forget to like and subscribe and also share. Until then, have a good day.